This is Terry McDade, aka the Pirate Hunter, and this is an in-box kit review of the 1995 rebox of Revell's Custom Monsters Drag Nut. This was one of the creatures out of the Ed Big Daddy Roth's new Custom Monster with Rat Fink series. He had all sorts of them: Surf Fink, Scuzz Fink, Mother's Worry. So there was a whole series that came out. And I built this kit originally in 1963, as I built the original Rat Fink in 1965. Yes, I am that old, trust me. So the kits back then we thought were really neat. We didn't have things like the new companies that we have around that are so good at building really, really good models. So we built with what we had. We didn't have a lot of the stuff we have now, the special glues and all this. We all used enamel paints. Most of us couldn't afford airbrushes. I didn't even know what an airbrush was. My dad painted things, but he had a great big DeVille spray gun, which did not lend itself well to painting small items. So these were fun kits that we built back then as either young teenagers or just as we were coming into being teenagers. So it was really a lot of fun on these kits, and we built what we had. So enough of the trip down nostalgia lane. Alright, let's look at the box. This is my third try on trying to do this. My wife and daughter, who are such caring and giving people, gifted me with a really bad head cold. That's why we're doing a third attempt on this. So let's look at it and we'll see what we got with the box. The rest of the box is sitting over here with the parts in it. So let's look at this. Okay. This side, it says Drag It Out Man with these crazy drag nut features. Swinging bantam body dragster with metal axles, rotating racing wheels. Roth monster decked out in flame-proof drag suit and crash helmet. Big Daddy customizing ideas and beady red jeweled eyeballs for kooky expressions. Far out, dude. Monster is removable stands and goes great with other cars. Special bonus features: a real Rat Fink and a King Spanner. This end of the box, both ends of the box are the same. And this is two of the others where there were out at that time. It says talk about Rat Finks. Here's a couple I hope you didn't miss for your Big Daddy Monster collection: Mr. Gasser and Mother's Worry. Yeah, I build all these things. This end of the box is the same. That's the inside, because this stuff is so attached, so light on the sprues that every time you take them in and out of the bag, they just fall apart. Okay, these are the axles, the metal axles that comes with a little bit about this, and then we'll look at the instructions on this. I bought this kit that was shrink wrapped, and I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have lost one of these axles, even if I had a carpet monster type carpet in here. These things are just thrown loose in the box. So when I open the box, it, from being shipped and bounced around and turned around and thrown around over the years, because this is a 1995 one, the one axle was between the inner and outer edges of the two boxes. So I pulled the shrink wrap, I heard it fall and hit the floor. So if you buy one of these and it is shrink wrapped, make sure you check when you pull the shrink wrap off that you're over a desk or something like that so you can hear it. If you buy one of these that off eBay, that's where this come from, and it is an open box, I'd send the seller a message asking him if the axles are in it, and if they are, I'd either have him poke a small hole in the bag and put them in with the rest of the parts, or tape them together and tape them inside the box. Very easy to get lost. So let's look at the directions here. Okay, it's a big, really big double-sided sheet. It gives a little bit of history about Ed Big Daddy Roth on it. I don't know if you can see it or not. Just tells when he come around. And this kit's from 1963. It says assemble parts 1 through 13. This is your Drag Nut monster on it. It's got the two body halves, the different arm pieces on it, hands, the helmet, the red beady eyes, the goatee. Tells you, it gives you 2 places, says swivel, do not cement on it, so you can position the hands. Step number 2 is assemble the Bantam Roadster. Now, on the axles that I showed, on this right here, this is where it goes, and right through here. So especially on this one, if you're using Tamiya extra thin, having built one of these with this white plastic, I'll tell you what, it loves Tamiya extra thin. That's how I filled some of the gaps on it, on the Rat Fink that I did, that I just put the Tamiya extra thin on it, and just put some pressure down on it hard, and it just kind of melded together. So it'll work for sealing plastic on it, sealing the gaps on it. This one just shows you how to put the Rat Fink together, which is 3 pieces. It says stand monster in place in car, assemble parts 29 through 32, which is 3-piece Rat Fink on it. And it's got some customizing tips down here. It says paint the skin a realistic monster color, pink, purple, or green. Paint hair black or orange. Toenails, fingernails to be painted any color that will contrast with the skin. Paint the car body yellow, tires black. Engine and wheels can be painted red or metallic. For some original styling, try Revell custom car parts, engines, chrome wheels, custom grills, and soft vinyl tires to give your kit that added touch. This, I don't know, I don't build cars anymore, but from what I remember, the Revell car kits were 1/24th, I think, size on these. So I don't know what size kit this is. They don't say, so I'm guessing possibly a 1/24th, 1/25th scale on it. So you could use, if you had any spare parts laying around for a car build that you'd done, you could play with this, customize it, this. Now, in this bag, when you open this bag, reason why I said this is my 3rd try, those are the beady little red eyeballs right there. They're really tiny, they're really loose, they're really small, and they just are loose in the bag itself. So when you open the bag, be careful, they're in there, but they're not, when they come out, it's easy to lose them in a carpet or something like that. So let's look at the rest of the parts on this. As I said, they are falling off this each time I've taken it out. Hey, this is the helmet. We'll start with the helmet here. As you can see, it's got the indentations on it for the design, for the paint design on it, which is called scallops. That was a hot ticket back in the 50s and 60s, man. It had scallops on it, flames a little bit, but mostly it was scallops, things like that. Details pretty good on it. It's got the side flaps on it. You can paint whatever color you want. I'm sorry, this kit takes me back a lot of years on it, believe me. This is the car body on it. As I said, these parts are just falling off on a lot of these. They're just attached so lightly on it. The wheels are plastic, and they've got raised lettering on it. Like I said, I do this on my tab too, so it doesn't have a lot of resolution on it. It says Blue Dragon Goodyear tires on it. It's got another little bit of lettering on it. Front tires on it, front tires and rims. The engine block with valve covers, and I think those are the ejector stacks. That's your steering column. The Bantam Roadster body. It's a little big for a 1/24th scale, but this is the same kind of plastic that was on the other one that I built, the Rat Fink. Excuse me. I love this cold. So this is, sorry for the interruption on that. I love this cold. It thrills me to know in certain and we're liable to have a couple other pauses in this. This is his left hand on it. It's got some fairly good detail on it. Front axle cross piece. This is one of the rear supports for the rear axle that the axle goes through the front grille on it. I'm kind of hurrying on this because of this cold. I don't know how much longer I'm going to make it. There is these feet, the shoes on it, and your floorboard here, which says Revell Inc. 1963 on it. Steering wheel, and the Rat Fink. This little Rat Fink has got a lot of detail on it. It's identical to the big version that I did the build video on and the kit reviews. It's got a lot of, like I said, a lot of little detail on this thing. One picture, I think, on the front of the box shows the Rat Fink standing on the fender of the Bantam body on it. Yeah, these things are just, as soon as you touch them, they just fall off on it. That's the main, something else come out of there. One of the arms come out of there, half of one of the arms on it. This is the main body on it, and as you can see, there's a lot of detail on the hair, on the face, around the teeth on it. The teeth are they're pretty good. They're not really what I'd call loose or anything on them, as far as, you know, wanting to pop off easily. You got the hair on the back. That looks, you know, it's got a lot of detail on this. It's got a pretty good amount of, I said, detail on some of this stuff. You actually, on the zipper, got the individual teeth on the zipper. He's got, I don't know what that is on his chest. I maybe don't want to know. On it. You've got, now this is the tongue. I like this. This tongue, I don't know if you can see it well in this, has got a lot of detail on it, a lot of serrations in it, a really detailed tongue. You could come up with some pretty wild color combinations on this when you painted the body, the inside of the mouth, and the tongue. This is the exhaust on it, the 6 exhausts, and the front half of the axle assembly. Like I said, everything, a lot of this stuff is just attached so thin that it just falls off every time you take it in and out of that bag. So that's why it is this way. One half of his arm. This is the other one of the mounts for the rear axle. And the thing that's interesting on this, they tell you on the 2 hands it says do not glue because they swivel. But if you do this, when you put this together, if you want to be able to swivel it or turn it or whatever reason, for whatever you want to do, this one for the left hand just goes straight in the arm. And it says, you know, do not glue, so it swivels. I don't know how you'd keep it in there. It doesn't have a big end on it. But this one, like I said, everything just kind of fell apart in that box. Wherever the other hand went. Oh, there it is. The other hand is a 2-piece hand. Like I said, this is really frustrating when everything falls off when you're trying to do this. It has a swivel on it that goes in when the 2 pieces go together. Each half has a swivel on it. It goes together and fits in here so you can turn it however you want. And the hand's got a lot of detail on it. There's a little bit of flash, but nothing serious on it. So, you know, you got a lot of detail here on this to play with, to paint, highlight, and hand goes together pretty good on it. You know, it's a little mismatch, but nothing, not like that Rat Fink that I did. We'll see, we'll cut the body off here and see what the 2 halves of the body together and see what they look like on it. But it looks pretty good. It's got detail on it. The back's a little flat. You could build it up if you wanted on it. Well, let's cut these off. See what we got on this. You got it. Sorry, with all this cold medicine I'm taking, I'm not really... Well, let's put it this way, we don't go drive the car today anyway. So, good medicine. Now, actually, watch the teeth, they're kind of sharp. Actually, it fits together pretty good. A lot better than that Rat Fink did. You know, it's got a little bit of a mismatch, but nothing major. Not like that Rat Fink did. That was horrible on that. A lot of great big giant gaps on it and everything else. You see my bench is really clean. See, it's got a lot of static in this plastic. So I think once you take and work it down, you can work it down with some probably extra thin. Work it down, sand it down in this. But the body actually kind of fits pretty good on it, the two halves. Nothing that's major on it. So, like I said, I got to apologize a little bit for the quality of this video. With this head cold and the medicine I'm taking, trying to keep it under control. Not the best video I've ever done. All things considered, yeah, I'd buy this kit again so far, but we'll see as we go to put it together. Doesn't appear to be any major fit issues on any of the components that have to go together. So, in some ways, I think it might be kind of, if you've got a kid or somebody just starting into modeling that wants to do something like this, that's a smaller kit with a lot of things you can hand paint if they want to learn how to do the detailing work and things like this. Airbrushing on this, you could do some. That's a bunch on it. That's what I did on the Rat Fink. But all things considered, yeah, we'll see what it turns out, because I'll do a build review on it and then a final reveal. So I've already got a base picked out for it and some ideas for the diorama. The Rat Fink that I did a final reveal on, we changed it around after we did the reveal. I'll do a really short, quick review on that. Post that to YouTube also. But this looks like it's going to be a pretty good kit. We'll see on this plastic. I said my only concern is it gets dirty real easy. Because I was washing my hands before I used it, before I worked on it, and I even got to the stage I was wiping my hands down with alcohol, because it was like I was leaving oil off my hands onto this plastic. We'll see how this one works. The fit is much better than on the original one. So, once again, this is Terry McDade, aka the Pirate Hunter, dying from a cold that hopefully he will not expire before he can get the video put on YouTube. As always, take care of yourself and your family, according to the great Jerry Springer. And till the next time.